What's up, y'all? Welcome to the On the Come Up podcast, where creative entrepreneurs share their come up journeys that turn their passions into success. I'm your host, Kimberly, so let's get started. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to On the Come Up podcast. Today we have Darian. If you guys are new here, thank you for joining. If it's not your first time, it's your second time, third time, fourth time, thanks for coming back. Today, Darian here is a photographer. Your username is like Darian with that Canon. I love how that like flows so well.
Yeah, no, I appreciate
How did you
that.
think of that?
Yeah, great question, by the way. So when I first came up with the name, it goes back to when I first picked up my very first camera.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a Canon Rebel T4, and I'm glad I started with that camera because I got to learn like a lot of the fundamentals and the basics of how to operate, my camera. Because nowadays a lot more of the cameras are more touchscreen. So I kind of fell in love with that camera and like Canon, and I was like, hey, so let me see if I can like incorporate the word Canon with how I already operate. So I also look at it as if you think of a Canon
Mm-hmm.
and the barrel of a Canon and how there's lenses on cameras. So every time I shoot something, it should be fire. So,
Oh, nice. I like what you did there.
That's how I came up with it.
I like that because I'm like, that's so cool because I feel like I still need like a little niche for my Instagram. I'm so undecisive. I'm like, but I like how that flows really well. Can you tell us about a little bit about your journey? Like, how did you get started in photography?
Yeah, I honestly I stumbled into it. If you would have asked me, if you was asked me like 6-7 years ago if I was gonna be a photographer, I wouldn't even have answered that question. I wouldn't even have thought of it being a thing. I had an internship in Los Angeles my junior year of college, like going into my junior year of college. And at that point, I had a iPhone 5. And mind you, the iPhone 10 was out during this time period. And I was trying to document my experience while I was out in Los Angeles. And I was like, iPhone 5 is not cutting it. It is not cutting it. So I got on the phone with one of my friends, and that's why the power of your words are important. Because I was joking at first, but I told him, you know what? I'm gonna get me a camera because I'm tired of having to keep up with the new iPhone every single year. It's literally a waste of time and a waste of money, in my opinion. So literally the very next year, like that junior year, like the spring semester of my junior year going into the summer, I ended up getting a camera from one of my colleagues on campus, and that was my Canon Rebel T4 that I started off with. And I just kept shooting, and I was like, this is way more fun than what I was doing at that time period. And I was in school for electrical engineering. So I got my bachelor's of science in electrical engineering. But it just wasn't what I was like really passionate about. So I come from a traditional family where they're like, hey, you have to go to school, and like going to college, like not going to college was not an option. So
right.
You have to go to school, and then on top of that, you have to pick a major or be in a subject that's actually going to pay you. So science, math, or doctor, lawyer, just something that they felt like was worthwhile me going to school. So I kind of started using my camera around campus, and I was like, wow, yeah, this is a lot cooler, way more fun. I'm more passionate about it. And it was originally a stress reliever, but I was good at it. And then a lot of people was also like the joy that you kind of like get from other people when they see their photos and like, oh my gosh, that's me.
Yeah. That's my picture. I took that.
Well, yeah, no, that's you. That's you. And I realized that, you can do a lot with being able to brand or like curate someone's image for their personal like story or their personal brand that they're trying to like put out there into the world. Because there's a lot of people around us that have like really cool skills, talents, or services. Sometimes you just need help pushing that out or showcasing that to their core audience.
Right. That's awesome. How do you like stay creative? Because there's so many, like with everything, there's a lot of models, there's a lot of photographers. How do you stay creative and
and like what
and in like in the field, like in the competitive field?
I would say one is really, really coming back to my sense of self and staying true to, my passions and what I like and who I am. A lot of times within this industry, you'll have a lot of push and pull, like people telling like, hey, you should do this, or, oh my gosh, like, what about this? Or I don't really think you should do this. Let's, try doing that. So it's kind of like coming back to, myself and my creative process. So now, like, kind of like breaking down that creative process, I would go into more so what I kind of draw inspiration from. So that may be my personal experiences, conversations like this, music. I love watching television, film from time to time. I be on my books, be reading as well. So it's kind of, just taking inspiration from what's around me, my culture, my community, and showcasing that and putting that out there.
So what do you specialize in particular kind of photography?
Yeah. So for me, I'm more in that. So I do portraiture. So I'm a portrait photographer, and within that space, I love to curate images that are more so conceptual. And even on the editorial side, because I love the storytelling aspect that you can put together within those images, or like within that story that you can like tell. And that really is leading me more and more into working with brands to be able to put together more of those campaign stories or those campaign messages to be able to like highlight a certain aspect of their brand.
Oh, okay. So do you do both? You do digital and film?
Yes.
Because I know last time we shot.
Yes.
I did a photo shoot with Darian. It was like last summer.
Yeah.
Was it or 2 summers?
It was
like 2 summers ago.
Yeah. Time flies. Flies. Yeah. We was I call it film at the fair. So.
Yeah, we were at the fair. It was like the first shoot at the fair. So many people though.
Yeah.
So yeah, you did the film. So you still do digital and film. You do both.
Yeah. So and I do both because sometimes I feel like certain projects that I work on requires a certain type of feel to the photos. And film definitely gives you a different like feel that sometimes can't always be replicated with digital. And it's just something that, I come to like really love and enjoy doing. And I feel like being versatile and being able to do more than just one type of style is cool too. Because some of my photos that I do like for my personal projects, I also submit them to different galleries and showcases. So that way I can get them like into those spaces and be able to like sell more of my prints.
Which ones were more your favorite? Do you have a favorite like when it comes to being a photographer?
Man, film. I know some people gonna be like, they're gonna be mad in the but film is crazy, bro. Film goes crazy. It's just that you have to kind of know your audience and your market. And in some places, they don't really care too much for the film. They like that clean digital commercial like look. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's important to know both sides. But film is just something. There's something special about film. So, but
they're two different. Like,
yeah,
learning digital and learning film is way too different.
Yeah. So, in a way, yes. But for me, because I started off in that digital space. But when I started picking up my film camera and like playing around with it, there's a lot that transfers over from digital to film. So because I shot so many times on my digital camera, sometimes I go out into certain spaces when it's film and I'm like, okay, you kind of just got to know some of your settings. So like, if you're indoors, a lot of times indoor, you would be on like 800 ISO or ISO. And you can get away with doing indoors 400, but you have to probably like use flash. So
that's like a different language to me because I don't know what that means.
So it's just like knowing what type of film stock you kind of need to use for your film comes like that's what makes it like different. But then on top of that, there is a development process that you have to do afterwards that's completely different than digital. So
you just gotta know the work, I guess, because you can't tell me how to do it. And I was like, what does that even mean? Can you discuss the importance of like empowerment in your work and how do you like aim to inspire others?
Empowerment in my work. Man, so the importance in that, I would say it's very important. And I actually strive to do that. And, as much, in all, if not all, as much things that I do for my projects. Because art is powerful, whether, people want to admit that or not. I believe art is powerful and I would like my art to invoke a feeling or have some sort of message behind it, because it literally would help someone else keep going on their journey, and inspire other people to also be themselves and create for themselves as well. And if I want to go take it a step further, I even go back to some of my work and it inspires me all over better again because it gets me back to my why. Because, some of my projects, I literally am putting myself in a vulnerable space to where I'm literally telling you all exactly what I am going through during that time period. And, when you look back on your journey in that time period, you're like, oh my gosh, I've made progress. I'm like, you may not see it every single day, but as long as you are still striving to get better each day, and then you see that and you're like, oh my gosh, I got to keep going.
Yeah. It's only up from here.
Yeah. So, and then hopefully other people may see that and they resonate with that and they're able to like take that and even better their own lives. So,
yeah, I love that. That's awesome. Do people ever are like, dang, how'd you take that? Do you ever get those kind of questions?
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
So I like hearing that because it shows, people are actually like paying attention to it and they're actually intrigued and curious about, what they can do possibly to even like create something like that too. And I'm open to sharing people like, like how I did it too, yeah, I feel like sometimes people kind of gatekeep their processes.
Yeah, and sometimes
and I know like it's better if we help each other as a community. So yeah.
Yeah, it gets kind of hard because the creatives are very competitive. Yeah, so it's like that's mine. I get that though.
It's true though. Yeah, but but we're better when we're collaborative and better as a community. So yeah.
Yeah. What advice would you give to an aspiring photographer? Like, what do you wish someone would have told you?
Yeah. Really spend a lot of time connecting with yourself and what you actually like to create. We are sometimes in a space to where we don't want to create bad art or bad things, because we want to be able to get paid or like be quick to monetize off of what you do. And sometimes you're in a space where your very own community or whoever's around you at that time period may not see the value in what you do, but don't let that like stop you from really creating what you love doing. Because your passion and what you love doing is going to ultimately get you into a space and open up doors and rooms to where you will be eventually getting paid for what you do. It may not be happening right then and there, but really try your best to stay true to who you are. A lot easier said than done. Like I was saying earlier, it's a lot of push and pull, but yeah, like really, because why be out here creating and doing work that you just aren't passionate about? That's going to lead to burnout eventually. If it hasn't led to burnout already, but like I've been there. I've burnt out before. So yeah, I would just say like really create what you like. That's how you're gonna find your niche. Anyways,
right. So who would you say is your biggest supporter?
My biggest supporter. Wow. I have a few. I have a few people. Do I really have to say my biggest?
Okay, just give me a. You don't have to pinpoint. You don't have to be descriptive.
Yeah, because I feel like I get support in different ways that are helpful from a lot of different people. It doesn't always have to be like a monetary type of like donation or monetary type of thing. But I would say I have a friend. He lives in Wisconsin. He literally was there with me when I first started my journey, my photography journey, and he's seen a lot, the good, the bad, the ugly. Like he's seen a lot of struggle, a lot of me trying to figure it out. And to this day, of course, I'm still learning every single day. I'm still going to like go through phases of okay, I'm trying to figure this out too. But it's just something about him being there in the very beginning, kind of like seeing that. And I can like hit him up whenever and be like, yo, kind of like going through, this right here. And he's like, bro, remember when you were going through so last time, where you at now? What you doing now? I'm like, dang, you're right, bro. I'm gonna get through this too. It's just, I don't know when, I don't know how, but I'm gonna get through it. So like that emotional support there, really means a lot to me. So yeah.
Is this what you do full time actually?
Yeah. So I do this full time. And
how long have?
Yeah, for a year now.
Oh, okay.
But I would say, it can get rough sometimes. So another piece of advice, I don't know if this is like just random, but you don't have to jump full time into what your craft right away, So because I do be thinking about it sometimes, like, dang, I could use an extra source of income from time to time if I'm not always. Because sometimes you have your drier seasons, and just figuring out what to do in my dry season, because I've only been, in it a year, so like, there was a lot that I still didn't know or like still would have to figure out along the way. So yeah.
Okay, so that's good advice. So like, don't ever. I mean, like you're still, because we're also quick to, I want to quit my day job. I want to do this right away. Like we're also such in a hurry, but I feel like the time will come. Because even with me, I'm just like, okay, I'm ready to quit my day job.
Yeah.
But I'm just like nowhere near that, So it's like sometimes I have to remind myself and be like, okay,
yeah,
the time will come. Like stop trying to skip steps.
Yeah, no, that's big. Skipping steps is big. Yeah, and I mean, and you'll know, you will know, and then also when you get to that point too, you have to also ask yourself and be real with yourself. Is fear keeping me back from like taking that step? Versus okay, am I skipping steps? But I feel like you'll know, and as long as you know it's not fear that's keeping you back, then I'll go for it. A lot easier said than done, though.
Right, I know.
A lot of people make it look glamorous, but it's work.
There's a lot of hard work with the glam, I would say. Yeah. Well, thanks, Darian, for coming on.
Yep.
I really appreciate you
for
coming all the way out here and sharing your story. You guys on the come up. See, Darian, You started 6 years ago, 7 years ago,
5, well 6, almost 6 actually. So yeah,
6 years ago.
This is year 5. So coming up at the end of this year, it's gonna be 6 years.
Yeah, and then you've been
yeah
full time for a year. So that's why I changed the name, you guys, because we are all on our come up journey, and now Darian is full time. That's so awesome. Congrats to you. Well, thank you for coming on, YouTube fam. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment. Darian, we already mentioned his username, Darian with that cannon on Instagram. It will also be in the bio. We will see you guys in 2 weeks.